Okay, hopefully we are all good here. Video and doesn't really look like it. How come this is not working? Let's see here. Well, looks like it's working on my end here, but yeah, please let me know if the audio is working and the video is working okay. Video is frozen. Son of a biatch. Give me a second. All right, let's see here. We got all kinds of technical difficulties. It's supposed to just work. And of course, nope, it's not working. So give me a second, guys. All right. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see. Yes, we're in business. All right. Good deal. Okay. Good morning. Get my glasses on here. Good morning, everybody. It's another day here. Today is a holiday in Thailand, Machabucha Day, which is a bank holiday and also a work holiday. So everybody's home at my house, although I think the boys they have some things to do, and I have a couple of things to do with Alex later on in the day. It's a holiday, but that doesn't mean you can't get a few things done. The mall's not closed. All right. Let's see here. Little coffee. Let's see here what's going on. Wow. The dollar is at 30.27 to the Thai the Thai baht rather is 30.27 to the US dollar. Yesterday it was only 30.01. So that's quite a bit of a jump. Air quality 129, which is still unhealthy. It's been unhealthy for a long time. Another very hot day. It's 86 degrees already at 9:15 in the morning. High of 97. Humidity 50%. Feels like 90 degrees already. 10% chance of rain. Winds southwest at 7 miles an hour, and visibility is 6 miles. It's going to be sunny until tomorrow. It looks like it might be partly cloudy, but we'll have some rain in the middle of the week, so that might be nice. But anyway, uh, yesterday, Lori was on the stream, and she had was unable to fly because she didn't have the international test that she needed. She didn't test here and then get on. And So she wasn't allowed to fly. And then she sent me a message. I guess it was in the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was, but she sent me a message and it says, let's see here. Basically, what happened? Where is it? Oh, okay. So she had a problem with she went and got her test. However, they made a mistake. They put that the test was done in January, not in February. So she was very worried she wasn't going to be allowed to fly. And the only reason she even knew that, I guess she didn't see it on the form, on the document, but the reason she knew that was they emailed her a PDF and it said, "We're sorry we made a mistake. We were supposed to date your test on, February, what was yesterday? February 25th. So she was very worried about whether she was going to be able to fly or not. And today was her last day, legal day in Thailand. If she had stayed an extra day, she would have been overstayed. And today's a holiday, so she wouldn't have been able to go to immigration. She would have had to do, um, uh, she would have had to talk to the people at the airport to try to get everything taken care of there. So basically, and it's been this way for a while, but it's just getting worse now. With the pandemic. But flying is it's such a hassle. You know, domestically, not nearly as much. So you just got to wear the mask or whatever. But flying internationally, I don't even want to think about flying internationally now. I won't do it. Nobody in my family is going to fly international unless we absolutely have to. She was able to fly. They allowed her to fly with the letter, but basically she had the test results showed that she had been tested in January, not in February. So those test results wouldn't work. But she did have the email from them, a PDF file saying we made a mistake. The test was done on this day, and they allowed that. So she is. I'm going to assume she's on the flight right now. Excuse me. Um. So yeah, but she was pretty stressed out because she is supposed to be back to work on Monday, and so she wouldn't have been able to be back on work on time. She would have had to call in and been late, and this is what is happening, you know. Um, but all in the name of safety, right? You know. So I'm not sure. Let me see who's here. We got 30 people watching right now. Where are we at here? Stimulus up for vote tomorrow. Dollar reacting positively. Yeah, that could be it. Who knows? Uh, the Thai baht has always been a mystery because it's always a little bit stronger than people expect it to be, almost always. And that doesn't bode well for a lot of the expats here, myself included. Listen, I'd rather get 50,000 baht for $1,000 than 30,000 baht. And I've been here when it was 25, and I've been here when it was like 56, 55. And I'll take 55 or 56 any day. So now, with regards to Mr. Liu, yesterday I made a big deal about going to Mr. Liu, and perhaps my expectations were a little bit higher than they should have been. For some reason, I don't know if it was the article or just being the Starbucks of toilets, or because they raised the price. I mean, most people expect to go into a toilet, whether it's public or private, and it's fairly clean. I mean, when I go into a mall toilet, there is almost always an attendant there, and the toilets are generally very clean. And so um, I, I I don't know really what I was expecting. I expected a nicer toilet, not just a toilet that was clean. However, I did take a look at their mission statement and their website and all that, because I was going to send them a message and say something. Hey, I'm a little bit underwhelmed. But now that I see what they're doing, basically their mission is just to make sure that every single one of their toilets is extremely clean, and that they give you a little something to wipe down the toilet seat with if you gotta go number two, and they give you the cleaner and the air conditioning. They make a big deal about that, which really, in like the mall, you go into the restroom, there's air conditioning in the restroom. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. It's just a selling point. I didn't hear any popular Thai music playing, which is what they also say you're supposed to get. I did smell a fragrant aroma, and as many people apparently have stated, or several people have stated in their article and online, um, basically they don't want it to be smelling like a toilet, like a public toilet. That's kind of what they're after. They want a nice, clean place where you go in, you hear a little music, it's nice and cool if you're paying for the air conditioning. Um, and there is a fragrant aroma and there's an attendant or somebody who will make sure that the toilets are clean at all times. So in that regards, every single one of those places that I went yesterday were extremely clean, so you can't complain. um, Now I did find out that nearby, I didn't even know this, but nearby my house in Tawana, um, there are Mr. Lou toilets. So I'm gonna go check them out. Maybe I'll do a little video about it. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyway, if expect the standard of toilets to go up in Thailand in the near future, if they have it their way. I don't know, what kind of funding they have, or how they're going to do this, how they're going to go about it. But they are currently in Switzerland, or is it Germany? Let me see here. They're in Vietnam. They are in Thailand and Germany, I believe. Let's see here if I can find it. See, this is just showing me. This is just showing me vision and market partners about us, management team, press. Yeah. Anyway, so they're in Thailand and Vietnam for sure, and I believe it is Germany that they're in also. But listen, we don't need to worry about Germany and their toilets, or Vietnam and their toilets, at least not here. If you're going to Vietnam, it's good to know that they'll have clean toilets. So we're all concerned about. Well, I think many of us are concerned about, if you got to do your business somewhere, you want to do it on a clean toilet as opposed to one that's filthy. I don't generally use public toilets for more than taking a leak, but it's good to know that, for an extra couple of baht, um, you can do your business and rest assured that it will be extremely clean. I'm going to put in the link so that if anybody wants to come in and have a chat, they can do so. You can come in and use your video and audio, or you can just use the audio. However you want to do it, up to you, as they say here. No, we don't want to make this a toilet stream. I don't really enjoy, you know, just talking about nothing but toilets and poo and that kind of thing. It's gotten a little bit carried away on the stream, where we talk about poo and toilets and women and all these kind of things, and you know, uh, it would be nice to have a stream that I was proud of, where I don't need to rely on poop jokes or TNA, and that's my thinking. That's not anybody else's. So, but anyway, I don't know how many we got here now. 30 people. 30 people, and we have one, two, three people in the chat. That's it. Don't know where Longhorns is. Yeah, I mean, women. Listen, to a certain extent, talking about women, we missed the book of poo. Well, I don't. Where does that book go? I have the fart dictionary. I thought it's what's my pee telling me, and I thought I have another one that is what's your poo telling you. I don't know where that one is. But understand, I won't be writing a book on poo or poo problems or anything like that. I've already put in one of my books. I put a little story about poo, and that was enough. Yeah, that was enough. All right. So let's see what's going on here. I really haven't even taken a look at any of the news or anything like that. I'm going in cold today. But it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on right now. Motorbike taxi attacked tourist in Pattaya because he was annoyed. Yeah, okay. That's a great reason to attack somebody, because you're annoyed. Physically attack them, you know. Now, they're saying again that for foreign tourists, it's going to be required to use this tracking app. I do know about this, the Thailand Plus, and I put that in yesterday. But let me see what it says here. We'll need to download the COVID-19 tracking and use it through their stay. The app will notify travelers if they've been in close contact with any confirmed cases. Listen, their reasoning is good. Their reason is that we want to make sure that people are safe. Their people, Thais, and also the people who are traveling. Some people don't particularly like. I don't particularly like the fact that they have the right to track you everywhere. But you know what? In the context of what's going on right now, I do understand it. This app is a spinoff to the Thai Chana and Mochana apps. All use GPS and Bluetooth as well. Oh, well, there he is. Wow. Let's see here. So here we go. Let's say hello to Mr. Boy. You must not have a lot to talk about.
There I am.
You have a lot to do today.
So here we go. Let's say hello to. You must not have a lot to talk about.
Hang on for 1 second. 1 second. Epno.
He needs to turn down the volume. What's watching on the big screen can't type. I was wondering what you're up to there, Dre. The nose picking chapter in your book grossed me out a little bit. Well, it grossed me out too when it was happening. Imagine me being there.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right. How you doing?
Doing well. I actually
Yes.
had a COVID test yesterday and got the results back of being negative.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's funny. I knew I didn't have it. I was just feeling shitty for a while, and my sister put ideas in my head, and I was like, "Damn it!" So, but
the power of persuasion.
It is, and so I got the test. And what you're starting to speak, what grinds my gears?
Why don't you tell me?
What grinds my gears on our ridiculous health insurance in the States? Because I'm not in my home state. I'm staying, in Florida, as you know.
You've got to pay. It doesn't cover you.
It doesn't cover me. So $200. I'm like, come on, man.
Wow. $200 for a freaking test. It was $100 here.
Yeah.
According to Lori. And what I was saying earlier, I don't know if you heard, but she had another issue.
You're kidding.
No.
Really?
She got tested.
God,
she got her test back. She's negative, right? And so apparently they made a mistake on the document, and they put that she was tested in January, not in February. So they sent her an email with a PDF, a corrected test.
All right.
And she was worried that she wouldn't be allowed to fly. And then, today is a holiday in Thailand. It's Matcha Bucha Day.
Bucha Day, yeah. Always doesn't that remind you of coffee? I always think it's a coffee day when I see that. I'm like,
I think of that, or I think of matcha like matcha tea.
Yeah, that's it, something like that. Like,
so she was worried, and today is her last day that she was legally in the country, so she was going to be overstayed, which means she would have to get an extension. However, being a holiday, she wouldn't be able to go into immigration. Now, since she was at the airport, what I said to her was, just tell the immigration officer if they deny you the right to fly, and they say, no, you're going to have to go get the original paper or something like that. Speak to an immigration officer there at the airport immediately, because once you go out, and then, if you're out the next day and you, like on Saturday, if she went out and for some reason somebody said, we need to see your passport, and they caught her, she could be banned from Thailand for like a year.
Yeah,
however,
they're pretty.
I understand that they're pretty flexible, but I'm telling you, you don't want to be in that situation if you can help it. So I said, make it easy for yourself. Just go to an immigration officer, tell them what's up, and they'll be able to help you. They'll give you like a 7-day extension or something like that. So fortunately, they let her go in, and they let her fly. And, I said bon voyage to her. And so she's on her way back to back home. But, man, I mean, traveling is such a nightmare now. and I've heard this from so many people now about, how you've got to get everything just set up. You've got to logistically get everything done, step by step. You need to make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. And if you don't, then, you could be out some serious dough. I don't remember what happened with Niall, why they held him. What was the reason that they held him? I can't remember off the top of my head. He was in Korea or something.
I don't remember, but I didn't think that was this trip.
Yeah, remember you said he was supposed to fly and he couldn't or something? There was some.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I think it did have. Was it? It was something that did they cancel it? I think they had. It was. That was just they had canceled the trip because there weren't enough people, basically.
Oh, okay, okay. So that had nothing. Well, I mean, even that in itself is one of the numerous problems that this.
Well, he had to redo all the the ASQ after that, and
right, and they're not going to pay for that.
No, but they are flexible.
Him.
I just read a story. It worked for him and some other guy where they said, look, it's non-refundable, but because I think the story was that I read this guy tested positive for COVID, and they said, look, it's not refundable, the hotel, but we will hold it for 3 months. So, when you're not positive, if you come within the next 3 months, there's no change fee or anything. They would just book you in and you'll stay. So that's pretty good. And then they'll, and then obviously after they said, look, after 3 months, you're shit out of luck. We're going to keep your money and, that'll be that. But, in the end of the day, you're right. There's so much to make sure that you are organized and have everything in order, all your Ekasan Riproy, because it is going to, they will check it, and the toughest part seems to be, honestly, it's not even when you're getting to Thailand, it's leaving your country to get into Thailand. The airport, that airline knows that you don't have your fit to fly document, you're not getting on the plane. You don't have your certificate of entry, you're not getting on the plane. They're strict about it. So, in your country, because they're responsible for flying you back if, you're rejected. Right. So, it's a challenge. And I think that's the way it's going to be for a while, and you keep on seeing these meetings. I read one today, that, everyone was there except for the tourism industry itself, the TAT, Tourism of Thailand.
Authority of Thailand.
Yeah, to discuss, letting people, Westerners who have had the COVID shot, come without.
Who've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Coming in here without any kind of a quarantine.
Right. Which, doesn't work because the vaccine will prevent you from getting sick, but not being a carrier.
Like I was saying yesterday, the big deal is, are all the Thais vaccinated?
Right.
Or, the majority of the country is vaccinated.
Correct.
Then, the people can start coming in. That's the first thing my wife said. She said, listen, they may want everybody to come in. And this is what, listen, when these tourist groups, whether it's the TAT or whoever it may be, these agencies say, oh, yeah, it's going to happen. And no, they are proposing these things to happen to the government. And they're hoping that by stating it publicly, they'll get enough support that the government will, agree with them. And for now, just, don't plan on coming in here for at least a couple of months. I mean, unless you want to sit in a quarantine, that's what I'm saying. Without the quarantine,
correct.
It's not going to happen for a while.
I agree. At first I thought the way you described it was perfect and it took me a while to learn that about Thailand, is that these different organizations within the government, they just publicly start to talk about things, hoping that it gains traction with the decision makers. And if it does, then it goes through. The insurance thing, for example, for everybody who wanted an OA visa to have health insurance, this is before COVID, that was one of the things that they started bantering about, and it got traction, and now it's required. So I think, you hit the nail on the head on that one too, which is that, people are just throwing things out from different groups, trying to get, some traction. But I don't think that Prayut, which is the ultimate decision maker,
Right.
is gonna say, yeah, coming to. They're too afraid, of being the
Yeah, there's a
cause
lot of people,
of an
and
outbreak.
the ties, like I was talking about the poll yesterday. Now this was only about 1,450 people or something like that, but they're like proposing that it's mandatory that foreigners who live here must be given the vaccine.
Right.
Now, I don't particularly like being told you have to do this, you have to do that. But the bottom line is, for me, I'm not one of these, anti-vaxxers or anything like that. I don't have anything against wearing a mask, if I have to or if I'm supposed to. And in Thailand, it's basically if you want to get in somewhere, then you wear your mask. So if you don't want to wear the mask, then you don't get in. It's as simple as that. If you're
Right.
standing out in the middle of a park, nobody is going to
Right.
yell at you or give you a hard time because you have your mask down or you don't have your mask on. And even like in CASHAPP, when I didn't have the mask all the way up, the guy just said, "Could you please put your mask up?" I thought,
Right.
listen, you don't need to make a big deal about it. That's the thing.
And then you can move on,
Right. And then if you really want to take it off, you walk outside somewhere where you're like off of their property and there's nobody around. You take the mask off, you take it's been really, really hot. So wearing the mask is not fun here.
Yeah, I
Um,
can imagine
and
that.
especially I got this beard, it's like having like a rug on my face. And so then you
Yeah,
put the mask on and it just makes it even worse. But,
yeah.
that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is they proposed a while back. They said October is our target date, October 1st.
Great, because that's when I'm trying to get back into the
Well,
country.
I think that's a possibility. I do think it's a
Maybe it's because
possibility.
I was putting that out in the ether, Scott, and they were saying they were listening to your stream and they were going, Handaway,
Uh-huh.
Kitty.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe some of them are still watching. Maybe some of immigration is still watching my channel. I don't know. But I do think that if you figure that let's say that everybody doesn't get vaccinated by June, if they make it by July, let's say in the end of July, then you have August and September to see do the numbers drop? There are still foreigners coming in. They're being quarantined. Do their numbers drop? The number of people that are bringing in the virus from the outside, does that drop? And then they can go, okay, October 1st sounds good. Let's do like a soft opening, if you will, where they let in a certain amount of people without any quarantine at all. And maybe they say, go to Phuket, go to Samui. You're going to have to be there or something like that for a month. And then after that, if things work out, they go, okay, let's open up.
Yeah,
It's hard for me to believe that they would just let masses of tourists come in.
I agree, Scott. I think that I don't see that happening even in October. Frankly, not until I think your wife is right. Not until the Thai population a majority have got this vaccine and taken the vaccine. Will that ever happen? And that is an undertaking in a country like Thailand. That's not an easy undertaking. You should see the lines everywhere here. It's crazy to get a vaccine. And I belong to a whole bunch of vaccine groups, called vaccine hunters, trying to find vaccine.
Oh, God.
People are like, you'd be surprised. It makes me feel good actually, because they're desperate down here. And you watch the stories in New York and they just opened this place up at Citi Field and they finally got vaccines. 4 or 5 hour wait, massive crowds. Now think of Thailand. I mean,
yeah.
Forget
I don't know
it.
how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna do it. Maybe out in the provinces, they'll have little stations where people can come and they can get vaccinated. They'll have these. Maybe they'll have these big, kind of like lunch trucks.
It did. I don't. It's not.
I don't know.
It's just not enough. One truck. I went to.
No, I'm talking about. They may have many different kinds of vehicles that travel around and provide a few medical personnel to. There might be a couple hundred people lined up, and they say, "Okay, get here at 6:00, and we'll be vaccinating all day today." And then you get several thousand people through each place. I don't know.
The challenge for Thailand I see is what we just talked about, which is just they're still a developing nation. You're not third world, but it's very tough to do what a mass vaccination of the whole country. The country itself is extraordinarily hot, and these vaccines need to be, kept very cold
For now.
The J&J one looks great, but you guys don't have it. First of all, you got to buy these things, and they haven't bought those. So you got to keep it cold. And this sounds crazy, but by the time you guys get all the vaccines, it's going to be the rainy season, and it's going to be pouring everywhere for months. Yeah. And just people lining up in the pouring rain. It's going to be Nam Tuam everywhere, right? It's going to be not pretty.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm with me, I mean, I told myself, listen, I went out, yesterday to Chinatown. That was kind of fun. Still a little, obviously did a little couple hours there or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I don't feel the need to go run around all that often as much as I used to. Before I used to have this like urge to just go out every day. And I used to for a long time. And then it was, I want to go a couple times a week. Now I'm like, listen, once a week is enough. And I just saw some guy comment yesterday. Actually, I saw a couple of people. They said the same thing, that they may end up leaving Thailand because of a number of things, that they don't want to live in the provinces. And they live in, they are used to living in Bangkok, and they don't really want to move because they've been here for a few years, and they're really tired of the pollution, the traffic, and the stifling heat.
It's funny you mentioned it. There's a guy who I've known for a couple of years now in the Farang Can Learn Thai Facebook group, which is very popular. And he speaks fluent Thai. I mean, his knowledge of Thai language is off the charts, but he doesn't live here anymore. And I asked him, why? Like, you speak fluent Thai, you could read perfectly. I mean, it's incredible, honestly. And he says the exact reasons that you just gave. He said, the heat, it's gotten worse and I can't take it. And the pollution is just brutal. And I think that's one of the reasons that holds me back in some respects to live there full time versus going in the winter and then coming home to the States in the summer. It gives me a respite from it.
Yeah, my wife and I, we've been talking about, for a couple of years now, we've been talking about, buying a house or buying a condo, and it's become more of something that we're interested in the recent times, because first of all, we're almost to the point where we could pay for something, and we wouldn't have any payments, but also they have this 3-year 1% interest.
Really?
Loans, because they're trying to get people to do things. And the thing with Thailand is, if you don't own a house, you don't have your house papers in your own name.
Is it the yellow tabian or something like that? Or
the tabian ban.
Tabian ban, right.
And so, she's like, we have to have this. We have to have this. It's so important. Like, yeah. So we were talking about just this morning, and before I started streaming, which is really why I was a little bit late coming on, but and also last night. But the thing is that I don't want to get anything here in Bangkok, and I don't want to pay an arm and a leg or whatever. And I'm not too fond of Chiang Mai, although I guess it would depend on where it is. And I just told her, listen, just get a little condo somewhere that we can rent out. And she goes, you'd say rent it out, but right now there's a lot of condos that are empty. It's not all that easy to rent them out. And I said, well, then at least we wouldn't owe that much money. And, we'd have a place. And when things get better, hopefully we could rent it out. And then that way we have that address for the Tabian Bond or whatever. But, there's all these things. And like, me, I'm constantly thinking, I'd rather be by the beach. I'd rather be this. I'd rather be that. And, with her, it's all about, it's a little bit different reasoning. It's stability, which, fine. I understand that and I can relate. And it's also about the Tabian Bond. And
Well, you'll get that no matter what you buy, but that's,
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. And so, and then I'm thinking about the kids, and they're going through school, and I don't know exactly where Nicholas will be, and so if they're both close to wherever they go to school, if we could get somewhere that's close to where they can go to school, which is here, even if it's a little condo, then they can, if they want to, they can live there, and they both have little ways of making money, and they could pay 5,000 baht a month. They could each pay 2,500 a month or something like that. So that's the thing, is that
pay the utility bill, whatever it is,
yeah, I mean, they got to be able to come up with something, because they're getting to the age where, well, they're already at the age now where it's time. So
yeah, but you know what, Scott, when you look at the pollution factor, I just remember when being there, and you'd look at Bangkok and Pattaya, and as John S. says here, Chiang Mai now for multiple months, it was terrible. But then you go to Phuket, and it's 22, 21, 20, and you're like, gee, what's a
yeah,
huge
but do you really want to live in Phuket?
No, I do not.
Okay.
And I get it.
That's
But there are
my
places down south that kind of have that air quality.
Yeah, I know, and that's what
so
I'm
to
trying
me, that's
to.
what I would be looking at. It's like,
That's something that I'm trying to to get across to her, and she flip flops a little bit, and she's.
What do you think of Rayong? John suggests that Rayong.
I don't particularly like that side over there. I kind of want. I like the South. Just the South, and like about like around Prachuap and that area. From there down is kind of where I like. But listen, at the end of the day, it's a mutual decision.
I forget that.
I just want her to be happy, because like for me, like with most guys, especially if they've been married for a long time, they just don't want any hassles. They don't want any complaining about, we shouldn't have moved here. We shouldn't live here. This place sucks, and that kind of thing.
Right.
They don't want to hear that.
I agree. Listen,
happy wife, happy life.
Right. As long as it's not in the sticks, and I was dating somebody or married somebody, said, look, I'm open to anything. I think it's a good idea to rent for a year in the location you want to be, see if you like it. Because it's so cheap to rent, you could find a place that's.
Well, that's why I said about Krabi or somewhere around Krabi. Yeah. You can get a place for 3,500 a month,
easy,
which is dirt cheap, and then you can look around, and it really depends on the kids and what's going on with them for us, but not for everybody.
I know you mentioned she had a sister or a brother. Where are they?
They're Suratani.
Oh, okay. So.
And that's not really somewhere she wants to. She doesn't want to live back where she grew up, because it's kind of like, it's just not. She wants to move on from there.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like she doesn't want to go back to the village and kind of live in the village. And we still have the place down there, and it's just she doesn't want to live there. And to be honest, I don't want to live there either. I don't want to live in some village where everybody, I don't know. Everybody that is close to her family knows her and knows everybody, and they know your business. They know everything you're doing. Oh, he just bought this. They just bought that. They just got a new car. Oh, they're so rich. I don't want to hear all that bullshit.
Yeah, that is one of the things.
And you're going to get that
right
now. Her family is very, very good about things. I mean, like, listen, her mother and father have passed away, and she just has a couple siblings, but. They're very, very good. They don't want for anything. They take care of themselves down there. They don't, they're not like, listen, I hear all these stories, and I used to hear them a lot more. Maybe people are catching on now. I don't know. But I used to hear them say 20 years ago, where people were complaining about how, their girl, took them and built a house and then left them and did this and did that. And, that just, that's not them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, look,
and, they want this much money. They want 50,000 baht a month or some ridiculous amount or something like that, Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not going to live in Rayong. I can tell you that right now. I don't want to live in that area.
yeah, don't. It's
I don't want to live, in Pattaya. I don't want to have a condo in Pattaya. I don't want to be over in that direction.
yeah,
Um,
don't do it.
even like Koh Chang, which I like over there. I like the Koh Chang. Longhorns just got it right. Yeah, I'd end up doing something that would put me away for life, probably. Um, but that's not, that's really irrelevant. It's just that I don't particularly like that. I like the islands. I just don't really
No,
care
yeah,
for, that direction. Like Bangsan, the whole Chonburi, and then I just don't. I just never have felt it. And it's kind of like Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai. I mean, like maybe I could grow to like it, but I'm more into the South. And I'm sure my
yeah,
wife would too.
sure.
And
I
there's
mean,
a lot of places. There's it's a big country. There's plenty of places to hang out and and to check out and pick and choose. But she in her mind she wants to get it done for a number of reasons, but
what's the
mainly
time?
because of the well, I'd say within the next 6 months to a year.
Wow, that's
Uh,
fast. That's really.
but she's been looking for, I mean, a couple of years. I mean, it's not like we haven't thought about it and talked about it and everything like that.
I know, still.
The other thing is, it's a matter of, how much. It's not only how much is there a payment, and then is there, are there like, there's fees, there's additional fees. And then there's also things like maintenance. You're responsible for everything yourself. Like we just had the roof fixed here. We didn't pay anything. And that's because our landlord, is very good. And she probably doesn't want us leaving, at least not for now.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
look, who the hell wants to deal with trying to find a new tenant? It just sucks, particularly in this market.
Especially right now. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I mean. And so, she's always been very, very good with
yeah,
us and cool with us. Um, and, aside from the house being a little bit old, we are comfortable here. But that's not to say that eventually, there's a couple of things, we've got a couple of steps that we're going through right now, a couple of things we're both doing and that I'm doing. And hopefully, in the next few months, we'll have them all ironed out. We'll figure out exactly what we can do, and we'll see. But I can tell you that I've seen it and heard it from more people now that the pollution and the traffic and the heat. But it is Southeast Asia, so it's going to be hot. But the pollution and the traffic, coupled with the heat, is making people uncomfortable, and they're kind of like, I don't know if I want to be here. Which, listen, say what you will about Pattaya, but at least you're right there on the water, and maybe there's a breeze coming in, and that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's funny. I just read an article. I don't know, maybe Longhorn sent it to me or whatever it is, but or it just came up, or someone sent it to me about the pollution and trying to get the farmers to stop doing this slash and burn method. And it's just so expensive. One of these tractors costs $200,000, and these people are in debt already, and they're not getting a very high rate for their thing now. It gave more of a detail of why they do the slash and burn method. And it was interesting, that what happens is when they set fire to that, it burns off all the stalks and everything, and they're able to get to their crop easier than doing it manually by hand. So this just kind of clears everything out, and they're able to do that. They said even with they could rent these things for like a few thousand baht to do it that way, but it still puts them in huge amount of debt, and they're already in debt to begin with.
right.
So getting them to
Some of those people up there, they got a hard time paying their truck payment.
right.
To pay for a $200,000 tractor when they're not going to make, it's not going to make them so much more productive. And even if it did, they only have limited land, so it's not like they're going to see the fruits of their labor immediately and can put it back in and buy a bunch of land and then, okay, we're just going to keep making more and more. That's not
why
how it works.
I agree, Scott, and I think that one of and that's a big problem overall. What I think the government has given incentives, but what I would almost say is the government needs to come and set up something where, look, we'll do your crops. Like we're going to subsidize this, and have these tractors there, and we'll do this. They've got to find a way, because it's killing themselves and their neighbors, and vice versa. And the countries that surround them are also doing the same thing. So
Right,
it's not
right.
just it's not just Thai people. It's it's
Almost
Lao,
always about the money, isn't it? I mean,
always,
it's
always.
it always comes down to the money. And then the thing is that, like I said, some of these people, what do you think these girls are working in bars for? A lot of them. They're working in the bars because their family is like, well, you've got to make money. You got to make money. You got to help take care of your family, and so the girls feel obligated. Then they go out and they work, and then some of them are very good about they give their parents a certain amount every month, and the parents may know or probably know, and they just they get the money, and then it helps them to have a better life, and then of course
Yeah.
it's not
I mean,
necessarily good for the girl.
I've heard different stories. I talked to a few girls that don't work in the bars down in Pattaya, and they're like, "Listen, there are jobs for all of these women," and they pointed around. This is before COVID, obviously.
Yeah, but they don't. The thing is, they don't want to work them because, first of all, because maybe the work is too hard. Maybe they just feel like it's beneath them. It doesn't pay enough. I mean, I used to hear a guy say, "Listen, I respect the girls who, they're working on selling fruit as opposed to selling their bodies." And I'm like, okay, well, that's very. What's the word I'm looking for? They have this integrity that they keep and everything. That's great, but it doesn't feed them any better, really. They don't. They're not getting ahead off of selling fruit as a fruit vendor.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So
John,
it's understandable when you see, think about something, because you and I are, fairly, I wouldn't say affluent, but we're fairly comfortable. And
no doubt.
and so they may feel like, from what I know of them and from what I've talked to some of them from, and some others that don't work in that profession, is that they're like, hey, listen, I got to make what I can to help the family and get ahead, because if I don't, we're not going to get ahead. And so, who else is going to take care of me? So some of them are quite proud of the fact that they're taking care of their families and doing things. But it's still, how are they going to pay $200,000? Most guys are not going to go, okay, babe, you need a cracker, I'm going to give you the $200K.
No, look, this is what the Thai government was talking about, and trying to to get them to do. And they have these things set up so they can rent them, but again, the rent is just way too high. Even for this quote unquote small amount that they're willing to rent these equipment for. To do this, to eliminate the burning. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah. I got a message from someone. I got a message, and I'm not going to say who it is, but they said, this person said, Thailand gets a lot of stick for the bar girls, but does any country in the world not have prostitutes? It is called the oldest profession for a reason. It may be more in the open in Thailand, but it is in the open in Thailand. It's like going to 7-Eleven if you really want it to be. But the impression I get from my time there is that prostitution is not acceptable for most Thai people. I think they tolerate it.
I agree with that.
I think they kind of understand that some of the girls may be lazy. Some of the girls may be in great need. They're in dire straits, or, they're living in a life of poverty, and they want to get out of that. I would guess that most foreigners who visit China would never dream of being a bar girl customer. Now, I don't know if I agree with that. The men, a lot of what happens with the men is that if they're a single guy, or they're with their buddies or something, they hear about it, and then they're like, okay, so where are we going to go? Maybe they go somewhere. They want to go out at night to some club or something. They don't speak a word of Thai. So a lot of them migrate to these places like Nana Plaza, Pat Pong, Soy Cowboy, not Soy Dog Cowboy, but Soy Cowboy, and Phuket, like Soy Bangla, Pattaya, that kind of thing. They go there because they know the girls will speak at least some English. They can communicate with them. And then, hey, maybe they get lucky and they have a little fun. And, not everybody is going to say, hey, I want to hook up with this girl. She's so lovely. That, a lot of guys know. And more they know. This girl's, she's selling her ass. And who knows how many, times she sold it. And so they don't want her. But some guys, they make the mistake and, they get a little more serious than they should. I've spent nowhere near as long as some people in Thailand. But I think those who have never been there have a warped view of the country. And I would agree with that. For sure. A lot of people have a very warped view, like every Thai girl is a prostitute or every Thai girl is easy, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Listen, most women who really are into a guy are pretty easy. They don't wait 3 years to, or wait until marriage anymore. That kind of stuff doesn't generally happen. Some girl who's really into you and she thinks that she's going to have a go at you, and that things might work with you, nowadays, come on. I mean, if it takes longer than a month, a lot of guys are like, I'm out of here, or a week even in some cases.
Yeah.
I just checked in, and that is a crazy conversation. Which conversation is that? The one about the
the women, the hookers?
I don't know. Listen, there is, prostitution's everywhere around the world, and it is indeed called the oldest profession for a reason. I mean, Hong Kong has, places, Wan Chai. Singapore has places, the 4 floors of whores. Indonesia has, like stadium. What is it? Philippines, they have all kinds of places, whether it's in Cebu or Angeles City or wherever it might be. I think some of this is that they think gals think you are rich. Well, I don't know. Listen, rich is relative because by their standards, some of these girls' standards, you may be rich. However, I think some of them by now, they're aware that some foreigners are not all that wealthy. And some of them just want a decent guy who, treats them good, really cares about them, does his best to take care of them, and, and they're not so concerned about being filthy rich. There are some that are, that's all they think about. They can't eat your love. That's as that saying in the movie goes. When the guy said, "I love you" to her, and she said, "I can't eat your love." And that's, an Asian mentality. It's not a Western mentality. Even Canada's gem and pampered city, Vancouver, has it. So many girls there do it. It would blow your mind. That's what I mean. It's all over the place. Listen, in the old days, it wasn't thought of as being such a bad thing. It was a method of survival. That was how it was because things were a lot harder than they are now. So if a woman is a great looking woman and she's hungry and she doesn't have any money, and her mother is old and she's sick and she's got no money and she doesn't have any skills because mama couldn't help put her through school, what's she going to do? I don't ever fault the person. You can't really fault them, and it's their choice, to do what they want to do. They may not like the choice, but you can't bash them for doing something. Now, some of them are flat out lazy, and as in any profession, some of them are just lazy. They want to wake up at 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, go out, party. They think that's, because they're young. Most of them, you're not starting out as a hooker at 40 years old, at least not here in Thailand. And I don't think that happens very often. By then you're over the hill here. But if they're starting out at 19, 20, whatever it is, 22, they learn very quickly. So anyway. I don't know how we got on that subject, but interesting enough.
Yeah, no doubt.
So let's see here. What do we have? Oh, I just saw this. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration Division that oversees markets in the capital said on Thursday that shoppers are not allowed to take their pets into Chatuchak Market. This was in response to reports that the World Health Organization is now eyeing Bangkok's Chatuchak market as the possible origin of COVID-19.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Danish media reported that the WHO team visiting the uh, Chinese city of Wuhan in January had cast doubts on the theory that the virus had originated there and was now looking at other possible sources, including wildlife vendors in Chatuchak. Now, wouldn't that be something?
I mean,
If it
I
truly did, I don't personally. I I trust the Thais more than I trust the Chinese, and that says a lot.
yeah,
Uh,
I
because I
would
don't
think
really trust
so.
any government. You know.
I don't. I think they're just that's media kind of poking the stick at some things. I think they changed it later on to be a market, quote unquote, like Chatuchuk, so like a open air type of,
Was that what they said? Let me see here.
yeah,
Well, this was just saying Chatuchak. Let me see here. He said this market has been properly sterilized and vendors have been told to practice new measures, and that was it. The person who oversees the market said the WHO team possibly meant the Sri Samrat market near Chatuchak, where pets and
exactly.
wildlife are sold. I mean, they're not even admitting that pets and wildlife are sold at Chatuchak. And, the bottom line is, at least in the past, um, they were sold there. So, when exactly have they completely stopped selling wildlife? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a quite a story. I saw that one. I'm surprised it didn't raise more hackles than it did, uh, because that's quite the charge to throw out there.
Yeah, and like Johnny Siam says here, the WHO is a global joke. At least to people that are non-Chinese,
I
most
agree.
of them are like, I mean, there's a conflict of interest. You know, but Stephen Moore says Cebu looking at a 4-bedroom condo, new for about 290,000 US. It would be several million in the US or Europe. Money is very different from one place to another. Yeah. This guy, life is more simple. Well, what is it that I said? One of my golden rules: do not get emotionally involved with a working girl. That's the go. That's is like one of the very first things you should remember. There's a lot of rules that should come first, but this is one of them. Don't get emotionally involved. And if you're going to, you damn sure better know the whole game and know the system. That means you better have some experience. You get what you pay for. You pay for what you get. Well done, CCP. Yeah, exactly. My wife was looking for security for her and her daughter. Most women seem to be looking for security and stability. You know, even if it didn't start in China, there's another million reasons to hate the CCP. Exactly. Yeah, to me, there's nothing wrong. I mean, this is what women, most women they want. They want security. They want to know that they're going to be safe. You know, nothing wrong with that. See if I can
Yeah.
find something else here.
Did you
Because there's
see the
not a
video?
whole lot of. What's that?
Did you see the video of that fight with the taxi driver in Pattaya and Walking
No,
Street? It was
no.
wild. The guy was just sitting there next to him. He was drunk, and he didn't
The,
speak any
the
Thai.
the taxi driver was drunk.
No. The guy who
Oh, the
he
other guy was
really,
drunk. Oh well, so was
yeah.
he saying anything?
No, because I mean, the taxi driver literally admitted he just was annoyed, um, because the guy, I guess, he didn't speak any Thai. The taxi driver didn't speak whatever language he was speaking, and the guy was just sitting there and probably blabbing because he's drunk,
Right,
and he just outright just said just hit him, and then he got up and
right.
kicked him with his
Well,
boot.
that'll be a 500 baht fine.
Yeah, that's what everyone's saying. It's like 500 baht fine in a Y, and that's it.
Sorry, I apologize. That kind of thing. That's how things are
Yeah.
done
But it was
here.
wild. He just really,
Uh,
you know,
yeah, well,
fit.
that's listen. Getting drunk for me is not something I want to do out in public. Really,
Yeah,
a drink or two is one thing, but I'm not 20 years old anymore, and I care. I don't want to be out in the world when I'm I don't have all my faculties. It's hard enough when you do have all your faculties. Longhorns like Oprah. I always get emotionally involved for those 2 hours, then not. Longhorns gets emotionally involved with the girls for the 2 hours he's with them. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, have your fun emotionally, physically, and then, you're done. Thank you. You're so sweet. Bye bye, honey. We had a grand time. Nothing wrong with that. But, it's, what I'm talking about. I know you're joking, but should I go for prison for a few months or a hefty fine and probation? Anyway, let's see here. They're making a big deal about this baby hippo.
I don't know that story.
Baby hippo in, where is it, Konkan? Let me see, was that what it was? No, Chonburi, Kalkeo Open Zoo. I don't know if any of you have ever been, close to a hippo, but man, they stink something fierce, and they're constantly shitting and using their tail to move the shit away from their ass. And here we go on the poo subject again. But yeah, they're not.
Maybe
they're
they
not,
need a Mr. Lou for hippos.
Yeah, they need a Mr. Lou.
Yeah, for hippos.
Don't mean to sound harsh. I just don't think that non-professional women care about men in generally. I don't trust anybody, especially women.
Well, we just started a new club. It's the He-Man's Woman Haters Club.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy into that, honestly. I mean, that's like saying, "Oh, all women are terrible and they don't give a shit about you." I think some women care about you as much as you care about them. I think some women care more about their man than the man cares about them. And I think some women don't give a flying fuck about, what a man thinks or says to them. And, they may think the same way as they may hate men. And, some of them turn into lesbians, some of them don't. Listen, I mean, I had without getting too specific, I had my fair share when I was younger. And I had some good relationships, and I only had one or two that really weren't good at all. That were like where I was like, man, that one, this chick was whack. And, there was a couple that were out there. And it took me a little while to figure it out. That's why I always say, and the Thai say, yak du nanan. They want to know you for a long time, because then what happens is everything starts to unfold. You start to reveal your hand. They start to reveal their hand or whatever, and you get to know. And, sometimes, when I was younger, it would be like, oh, look at that one. Oh, she's awesome. Wow. Look how hot she is. Then, you have a little roll in the hay, and next thing you know, you're a couple. And, 2-3 months later, you're like, man, I didn't know the chick was this way. And then you're like, I'm stuck. What am I going to do? I'm going to have to dump this girl. And then she goes nuts. So you need to be careful. And, here in Thailand, if you don't know the culture, like I said it a long time ago, what are you getting involved with them if you don't know the culture? Just do your thing, have your fun with the ones who are pros, have your fun, and move on down the road. And then once you know the game and you know the culture, then you can start to think about it, But if you don't know about Thai culture and the way of the Thai women and what they're saying and what they mean and all these kind of things, why get involved with them at all? My wife has given me a great home life, and I have a daughter that calls me daddy. Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, mine's given me the same, except mine hasn't given me a daughter. She's given me 2 boys. So, kicking someone's teeth in for no reason and a 500 baht fine is like saying assault and battery is legal. Yeah, well, I mean, look at the guy, the Red Bull kid. He's still out and about.
Yeah, that's I mean, what is going on with that dude?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, money talks. And listen, it's no different in the United States. You get preferential treatment if you got money in the U.S. courts, as opposed to somebody who's using a public defender and has absolutely no money. You know,
Absolutely, no doubt about it. I mean, you know, you can, if you pay for the best defense, you know, you definitely are going to get it. However, you know, you'll get arrested. You know, I mean, this guy is just, you know, it's not like it's hard to find the guy. You know, he's out there flaunting his money and playing the playboy role. So they know where he is. I mean, and you know, they keep on saying, "Oh, we have these alerts out for him," and you know, Interpol, and I said, "I'm not buying it." You know.
yeah. Yeah, thank
But
you very much, Johnny. Yes, please leave a thumbs up. I haven't even said anything about this, but if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up. If you are already subscribed, thank you for being here. Take a look down in the description if you want any merch. There it is right there. Use the code Orwell to get 15% off. Don't be shy about hitting the PayPal or hitting the join or get going on to Patreon. You know, I really would like, and you know, there is a tier that's $1.99, and it would be nice sometimes to just have like, listen, I know there are, you know, there's not a huge number of people watching my channel all the time, but there's 50 to 100 generally at all times, and it would be nice to get, you know, like, hey, it's members only stream day, and there's, you know, 10, 20, 30 people in the stream, and only they can actually, it's the way that it's set up is, and I could do it right now if I wanted, is all the members are allowed to comment, but the non-members are not allowed to comment. And sometimes that's not a bad way to go, because, you know, sometimes we get people coming in that don't need to be saying anything, but it helps. Every little bit helps, and that's why I'm saying it. So, you know, you're not obligated, but it does help. Good rule for Thailand: have all your fun and get it out of your system, then look for a keeper. Well, that's what I did. And I had way too much fun. You know, I mean, nobody, listen, I talked to guys back in the States when I first came over and after I'd been here a while. And I've talked to guys, and you know, even now I talk to guys, and they absolutely don't even. Thank you very much, Johnny Siam. There you go. Appreciate that. Choke D. Johnny becomes a sponsor on my YouTube channel. Fantastic. But you know, if you have your fun, and then you know you get to the point we like. Listen, I got to the point once where I was like, man, I don't even want to see another. I really don't even want to deal with another female. I don't care. I've been with enough of them in the last month that I was like, I just need some breathing room. And you know, after that, I was kind of like, all right, well, listen, you know, here, if you are someone who is extremely well off, and I'm talking about, you know, you got money to burn, and nothing is really going to hurt you.
hey,
You could screw yourself to death, literally. You know, and I guess that's okay. That's a good way to go. But you know, you could go doing that, but there's nothing wrong with finding a good woman and hooking up, and you know, doing it that way too.
absolutely. You know,
Not that much preferential treatment like in Thailand. There's a huge difference, and it's drastic here. Money equals a great defense. You kill someone like that, and you're going to trial at least. Yes, definitely. Longhorns, or rather, Soy Dog Cowboy. I have to ask you: do you still have a little friend there?
I do. I do. She's actually off at work right now, but
So she's keeping you busy.
she's keeping me busy. You know, we got a nice thing worked out. She's here a few days a week, and then she goes to stay with her parents. So, you know, I get my time by myself because, you know, if she stayed here all the time, I would kill her.
She's smart. She's smart.
Yeah,
she knows.
So, and you know, well, and she knows. Look, I've got just 2 more months here, and I'm back in New York. You know,
so is there going to be any continuance of the once you come back, or like, you know, hey, I'm going to Thailand, I got to do my thing, and then you come back to New York and you're like, babe, you want to come up here? Or
I mean, who the hell no? Look, I'm going to Thailand, no doubt about it. But
he's not going to let her stop him.
Nothing's going to stop me. You know, nothing.
And you know, a lot of guys they do let their woman does stop them.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But you know, I have no patience. I'm a terrible boyfriend. So you know, so I'm going no matter what. Again, unless something changes between now and October, from a COVID standpoint. But but I'm going. We'll see.
When I first came over here, the first trip, I had a girlfriend, and I asked her, "Do you want to go?" I've said this several times, but for those who don't know, I said, "Yeah, if you want to go, let's go." And I had the money. I said, "I'll pay for your ticket. Let's go." And she said, "Why do I want to go to Thailand? It's dirty. They don't speak English, and it's super hot there. I want to go to Monaco." And I knew right then it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work because I was like, with that attitude of, why would I ever go there?
Yeah.
I just thought that's not adventurous enough for me. I mean, there are places that I don't particularly want to go now, but it's more like I know the places that I really like, and I know enough about the places that I don't want to go to. That I don't feel obligated to go there, or like if somebody says, like, "Hey, I'll pay for your ticket to go to North Korea," I don't really want to go. I just don't. I don't think it's the kind of place where I'm going to have a lot of fun and I'm really going to enjoy myself. That's just my own particular thinking. What is this here? Yeah, but in the back of the head. Oh, I didn't see this here. Sorry. Yeah, but in the back of her head, there's a little hope for more and a dent from knocking against the headboard. He's talking to you there, Soy Dog
He is
Cowboy.
indeed. I know.
Yep. At least you understand this. Many people never realize or know what they want. Well, I always knew that, having a really good woman. I mean, now I'm a little older, obviously, so I'm maybe from a different generation than now, who think that, a lot of people in America think that the women, they're not, they shouldn't be with them, or they should stay single, or what do they call it? The MGTOW. They got that mentality or whatever. But even when I was younger, listen, my parents have been together for 60 years. And so that's my example. And so for me to have someone that's your best friend, and that, she's everything that you need out of a woman, and you've already experienced, the thin ones, the slender ones, the chubby ones, the redheads, the ones with black hair, blue hair, you kind of go, okay, well, when is enough? Because the grass is not always greener on the other side, So, I mean, there's different ways to think of it, and, to each his own, but I would never slam a guy for saying I want to stay single. I mean, listen, Jono, he's told me already, I'm never going to be hooked up to where I got a girl like living with me and, we're going to get married, but he's 66 years old. He's set in his ways. He knows what he likes. He knows what he wants. And, you can't fault him. Listen, if he wants a little friend or whatever, she comes over once in a while, that's fine. I mean, for him, it works for him. If I was single, that would probably work for me too, because I just don't know that I have the patience to have somebody around and break them in, so to speak, Right now, Johnny, that's the goal. Money helps, but at the end of the day, we seek a partner to share our life experiences with. Yes, that's what, yeah. Okay. Soy Dog, at least you understand this. Many people, I already put that. MGTOW, it's just a bunch of guys who have gotten burned more than once. Yeah, I don't know. Gilfs are blue-haired. Okay, whatever. Listen, there's somebody for everybody. I am of the opinion that there's enough people out there that if you persevere and you have a halfway decent head on your shoulders, you're willing to, dedicate yourself a little bit, and you have a good head on your shoulder, and you're not too judgmental about everything, there's somebody out there that, you may be able to hook up with. Now, whether you stay together forever, who knows? Forever's a long time,
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, let's see what else we got here. Go ahead.
Do you have to? I bought. I tell you, I just got I guess like 5 days ago, a second screen for my computer. Do you have one of these in your at home? Like,
A
two
second
screens?
screen. My
Yeah.
wife,
What a game changer.
that way she's on. She's got like one set up to do like data entry, and she's got the other one to like where she can go online and do things that she has to do, on a website or wherever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, with my language studying, I'll have like a Thai lesson, a video all in Thai on one screen, and then I'll have my Google Translate open in the other screen on the other, and it automatically translates if I need to, if I'm stuck. It's fantastic. I'm telling you, you should. It's a game changer. I'm surprised you don't have one. Makes with all your
Well,
video shit,
there's a few things that I need, and that hopefully I'll get in the next
And
couple
they're
of
so
months.
cheap now, Scott. I got this thing for
No, I
100.
know, I do know. I just there's times that I go, listen, I got the money for one, and I go, yeah, I'll get one, and then I never do.
Right. Yeah.
But there are a handful of things, and I've been meaning to rewrite the list because they're always changing. Like now, I don't know if you know, but Rode just came out with the Wireless Go 2,
Hmm.
which is like you can mic up. Like I could mic up through my phone, wireless, and I wouldn't have to I wouldn't be using the microphone on the iPhone. I could do it through my laptop. I could do it however. So there's that, and then there's also some other things like what the hell you call it? A microphone, but something like a Blue Yeti or
Hmm.
a Shure microphone or something like that. I've been meaning to get some stuff like that, but I'm always hesitant because I'm like, look, it works right now. What I have, you know what I mean? Like I have equipment that works fine most of the time. I mean, yeah, I have my little issues, but that doesn't really have to do that much with equipment. So then why am I going to go out and get something just so that I upgrade? I mean, like, is it that much of an upgrade? What's it going to do for me? And I always think, is it going to make things better? All that much noticeably better? Maybe. But generally I don't think so. And it's certainly not going to contribute. I don't think it'll contribute to increasing revenue or anything like that. So then I always think, what's the point? That's where I go, oh yeah, I'm going to go buy that, and then I go, do I really need it?
Yeah. No.
It's
Look, do you really need it? No. I mean, that's the thing. We don't really need any of the shit that we have for the most part.
well, that's the whole thing. I mean, we were just talking about it, and like in the old days, I didn't have a TV in my bedroom when I was young. We had 3 channels on the TV, and the family would maybe have dinner, and then we turn the TV on, watch the nightly news, watch a show or two, and go to bed. There was no connection to the outside world through the phone and all this kind of stuff. And I just saw a video about how social media is actually, pretty unhealthy. And so, I agree with that. It is. Even YouTube can be unhealthy. It's not necessarily, and you can say there's people. Think about how many people constantly just sit there on the sofa and binge watch shows on Netflix or YouTube or wherever. So that can't be really good for a person. Anyway, let's see here. You grew up in an era with one TV in the house. Yes, I did. Stephen Moore says, heck, I've been married for 42 years. Congratulations. That is a long time. But it is nice to see each other grow with each other. You grow old with each other. And that is kind of, for me, that's nice. I like it. Because, I wouldn't, if I was 60 years old, I wouldn't want to be with a 20-year-old. How you going to, you're at different points in your life. If you're going to be with them, you're going to be with them for some fun, and then that's it. But like, you don't have the same mindset when you're 20 as you do when you're 60. So I don't know how that works with people. I mean, if it does, I say salud, but You know. Anyway, where is the? How come these are not coming through? Longhorn says you grew up in an era with one TV in the house, and so did I. I did have a TV in the bedroom. I took it out. Yeah, the TV in the bedroom is not a good thing. I've never particularly thought very highly of that because it can be a distraction. You know what's going on with this thing here. If anybody else wants to come in, we got a short period of time here. I'm not going to do more than 2 hours today, and that's a promise. Um, sometimes I'm just doing these streams are just way too long. You know, they should be like 30 minutes or something, and that's about it. Okay, here we go. Now we're back to where where's it here? You grew up in an era. Da da da. So did I. TV. Johnny. Trick is I've been traveling 50% of the time. A lot of people say that, and that was something when I, years ago when we were first married, I was traveling, at least a good portion of the time, and now I don't. But we respect each other's space. I mean, like I'm upstairs a lot of times, she's downstairs. Then we have our time together as a family where whether we watch TV or we have dinner together and that kind of thing, and that works good. You don't look at each other as though you're growing old. It's only when you get the photos that you are reminded. Exactly. I mean, I still remember when my wife was, a young university student, and she probably remembers when I had more than a one pack. You know, I like it that way. I think it works well. I think that system's set up well. As long as you get along and you take the time to get to know one another and know what you expect out of each other in the future. Steve, I used to work away a lot. That turned out to be a problem. Wasn't it Elvis who used to watch many TVs at the same time? I can barely watch one these days. Yeah, I don't like to. I like to be focused on one thing because my mind doesn't work all that well when I'm trying to think of 10 things at once. I get easily distracted, so I'd like to focus. How to get in? Huh? How to get in? Yesterday was forever. My wife knows all of my business associates overseas and is friends with all the family. She travels with them most of the time. I think that's a good thing. Uh, when we first got together, it was much different until the point where I started making some decent money. And then we did travel together more often. And even now, aside from the walk that I did a while back, there was no way in hell she was going to walk, like I did. And that bothered her, my being away. But, aside from that, now, listen, if it's possible, I prefer to have her and the kids with me because I don't have a lot of things that I'm not going out for a particular reason to write a particular article or do a particular, shoot a particular set of photos or cover a fight or whatever it is. I'm not doing these things and I don't really want to, It's too goddamn hot. I just don't, my body is not the same. It's, more broken down than before. I'm a little bit older, not old, but all right. So let me go on here. Dual screens are super nice. This is always on my second monitor while I'm doing stuff on the other one. Yeah, that is nice. Instead of opening up multiple tabs, two screens would be nice while doing stocks. A lot of people do that. We do have my wife she's got a second monitor, and then she's got her laptop, and so she'll set those up together, and then I would turn the TV on and use that as a computer. We would all be doing things on the computer, and she would be doing a couple things with her job, and I would, tell her, "Hey, go look at this page for me, will you?" And we would use one of the screens for one thing, and whether it was her or I that needed to look at something. And then she would do her work on her laptop, and I would do whatever on downstairs. But I'm looking at Nicholas got a little. I think it's an HP, and it's one of those laptops. It's about the size of my Mac that I have, about 13-inch or something. Maybe it's 15, but it turns into a tablet also. And he loves that thing, and I actually really like it. And so I'm thinking about maybe getting something like that in the near future because my Mac is getting a bit old, and I think it's about 7 years old now. So what is this? Get into the call. I think Stephen means how to get into the stream. Oh, okay. Sorry, Stephen. Let me see here. Let me just put this in. Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Stephen, I use 6 screens. You can't have more screens.
Oh, shit. Stephen Moore, the link is at the top of the chat. Is it the top of the chat? I just put it right there.
Yeah, it's there. I see
You just click on that, and you can come right in.
Steve, man, come on down.
What is it? What is it that they say? Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Moore. He's got his new movie coming out. Oh, no, that's not him. It's somebody else. 6 would be okay, too. That's too many for me. But then I don't, I'm not looking at stocks and all these other things. I don't have to do that. And, the thing is that I do have my phone and my laptop, and I also have the computer downstairs. And if I really need it, I could use Nicholas's as well. But I rarely use more than just my laptop and my phone. So you should be able to click on that YouTube link, Stephen, and be able to get in. But when I hear the little pop, then I'll know you're coming in. Let's see here. So yeah, the foreign tourist must use COVID-19 app. I was reading that before. We were talking about that before. I don't think it's all that big of a deal, to be honest. I mean, because it's not like they can't find you if they really want to. They can find you. So, if it makes it easier to be able to come into the country, then why not? Listen, I wanted to say something. It was good that Gennaro came in yesterday, but let's continue to wish his father well.
Mm.
Absolutely. It kind of hits a little bit closer to home when somebody whether it's through the stream or however, when they have someone or they are in the hospital because they have the COVID or whatever. I would lose track of the mouse pointer with 6 screens. Hey, Carlos. Okay, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend. Let's see if we can do this here. Oh, shit. I got to get rid of the background. There he is, Mr. Stephen Moore. Nice to see you. Nice to put a face to the chat.
I'm hanging out in Florida.
There you go. Well, you got 2. We got all 3 of us are Floridian. Well, I don't know if we're all Floridians. Sort of Cowboy is a New Yorker, I think.
Well, I'm originally a New Yorker.
See? I
did live in New York. I lived in New York when I was a little kid. I was in kindergarten to 2nd grade. I was in New York. But, anyway, we're all like attached to Florida in one fashion or another.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's going on there, Stephen?
Well, finally hit 80. Florida, I'm in outside of Tampa and Palm Harbor.
Okay, you're on the other coast. I'm on Del Rey. And it's, what weather today in the next couple of days? 80 degrees, sunny, and perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm heading over to Destin in a couple days. I've not been over there. We have my daughter's with us, so I'm taking her over. She's got some kind of a meeting, so figure we might as well check out some of the property and stuff over there.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's pretty much what you do now. Is you just deal with your rental properties and try to find properties to invest in?
Yeah, I do a lot of that, but I also trade stocks, commodities, and currencies, and I do that in a big way.
Today was brutal. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, it started out so good. I had all these like smaller cap stocks.
Sure.
And it just about 10:30, 11 o'clock, it just fell off the cliff.
when Biden got in, I immediately transferred everything into oil and natural gas because I knew it was going to happen, and also packaging companies. So I've been riding that for about 5 or 6 months, and they've all doubled. But I'm basically a lot of cash right now. I've moved into a lot of cash because of, obviously at 32,000 on the Dow, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that it's going to readjust, right?
Yeah, they've been saying that for like 2 years. I was like, come on already,
Yeah, I trade technically on the charts.
Yeah.
So when things hit a certain level, I'm out. And I have not been in. I have a couple stocks that I've owned for 40 years, and I do covered calls on those because my cost basis is so low, I can't afford the taxes. So what we do is just bring in income either through the dividends or through the covered calls,
Right.
And that way, I don't spend any of my money. The only thing I've been trying to figure out is my family keeps going to Starbucks. I need to buy that damn stock so I can get some money back.
Why don't you pay for a Starbucks to be installed in your home?
I might as well.
The guy from the rock band Motley Crue, he did that. The drummer, Tommy Lee. He put a Starbucks in his home.
That's crazy.
So that he didn't have to go to Starbucks himself.
Oh man,
it's funny.
I'm looking for a new place. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm looking for a new place besides Starbucks, just because, I never thought about it before, but their stance politically doesn't really align with mine. And while it's a comfortable place, there are like literally thousands of coffee shops. And I said the other day, Soy Dog Cowboy sent me a list. I have my own list of different boutique coffee shops. I could go to a different coffee shop every single day and probably never get through all of them.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
why am I going to Starbucks? And the thing is, I can go to Starbucks anytime I want. I mean, I'm going to go there. I'll probably be there after the stream. I got to go and do a couple things for my kid, and I'll probably stop in there just to sit there, relax, regroup, and think. Instead of sitting at home and mapping everything out, what I usually do is go into the mall. I sit there and either get a water or a coffee or something.
But that's why you go to Starbucks, though. I mean, that's the point. That's the company is so brilliant. They weren't the first to do that. I think it was Tim Hortons. But
Tim Hortons did it too. Yeah.
But they perfected it, and they have made it a place to do exactly what you said.
Or
they
stream.
They
know, that there's going to be people doing business there. There's going to be people there sitting there and trying to regroup. So they're very careful about where they position their stores. Where they put their stores. They are very good about that.
Yeah, sure. McDonald's,
just kind of like McDonald's, they have that kind of long-term. Now it's fairly long-term.
Yeah, one Starbucks story for you. When we were living in Hong Kong quite a while ago, it's many, many years now, I was working for W.R. Grace out of New York, which I'm sure you know W.R. Grace, which they barely survive now. But I was in one of their big offices. I was running a packaging division in Asia Pacific for them. And a couple of the attorneys came by my office one day and said, "Hey, we're going down to Starbucks to get coffee." I'd never even heard of Starbucks. That's how many years ago this is. So I go down there with them, and the first guy orders a double frappa, whatever he got, and the next one does that. So I go ahead and I say, "Well, I don't know what to get. I'll get what he gets." And I get up to the cash register. Now, you got to realize this is like 20 years ago. And I wasn't an attorney. These guys are all patent attorneys and speak double languages and everything. And the guy says, "That'll be 120 Hong Kong." I said, "What?"
Wow.
There's like $16 for a couple of, Starbucks. I said, right then and there, I went back. I decided I'm getting my MBA. That's it. So I got my MBA in finance so I could afford a Starbucks.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
There's this kid on YouTube who's very successful. He makes about $2 million a year off of YouTube in stocks, and I've sent you the link before, Scott. Anyway, his one bane of existence is he hates Starbucks. He tells people stop going to Starbucks. And not for politics. It's such a waste of money.
Yeah, well, it is.
It's like his all about living, saving and investing, and it's like it's nuts. It's nuts. In Thailand, you go to Starbucks, it's always
Well,
$220.
You know that
And,
I track everything I spend. I know exactly how much I spend, and I haven't added it up for for this first quarter yet. But I will at the end of the end of March. But I know that like if I go to Starbucks all the time, I can feel like, hey, how come I don't have as much cash in my pocket? Because I'm constantly shelling out a couple hundred a baht. I mean, almost every time I go there, it's 200 or 300 baht, which is, let's say 300 baht. That's $10 every time I go. And there are times that I've gone there for like every single day, especially when I was writing before. I'd go every day. I'd sit there and I'd write, and $10, and it's $300 a month, or you say $250 a month. And I was like, damn, when you add that up at the end of the year, you could have invested that. You could have done something more useful. Carlos, there is no green bean coffee shop here in Thailand that I know of. There are some other coffee shops that are chains, and but I just don't.
Well,
I don't go to all that many.
Have you ever looked into buying those? My son wanted to make a change. My son wanted to make a change and get into the coffee business. And we looked at Scooters, which is big in the Midwest, and now they're trying to branch out. And I looked at the thing financially, and it was insane, because no matter what, month after month, week after week, you had to fork over like 24%, and it's a fixed amount. I mean, It is insane. So if you have a bad week, it doesn't matter. They still get their 24% based on your average daily sales. So, it's
so you
literally.
Can be working for nothing. You can be working for nothing, and you're paying them, but you're not making any. You're making $300 a month because your store's doing really bad.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
I said, "What? Go get another job if you don't like what you're doing."
Yeah, let me get to these last couple of messages here. Longhorn says you're going for Gennaro and Monash. Well, Gennaro was just here yesterday. Listen, if he's not in the stream, it's understandable. I understand. He's got some important things going on with his father. Monash, I don't know where he is. Who knows? He's here sometimes, and sometimes he's not. Tom's Crazy World says, "Where do you live now, Stephen?"
I have property in Omaha, Nebraska, and also outside of Tampa, in Florida.
How do you like Nebraska?
I love Nebraska, but I like Florida better because there's no state income tax.
Yeah.
That's what I worry about mostly is tax.
Yeah, I got a buddy who lives in. He used to live in Lincoln, but this is many. I've known him for 41 years.
Yeah, and Lincoln's only an hour from us.
Yeah, and he's he used to listen. His family had a farm. I don't know if they still have it, but his family had a farm, and they would send like bacon from their farm and meat from their farm, and he would you're not going to have bacon like this, man. You're never going to find it. And he used to just rave about Nebraska. Yeah. And I've never been there. That's the one place I haven't been in the United
States. If you ever come, you got a place to stay. We got plenty of room.
Thank you.
And we're my wife owns a bunch of farms through her family, and we've had continuous family ownership on her side for 115 years, if you can imagine that. But they're all rented out. Do you feel that
they're rented out? So you don't feel any pinch now because of the way things are going in the U.S. with the farms and everything like that?
No, the thing is, what I've always done is I try to be apolitical. I understand what's going on, and as soon as I saw what was going on politically, I bent towards conservative, but when I saw what was going on politically, I immediately positioned everything into oil and natural gas. Because I knew when he started talking about shutting down pipelines and stuff and putting all those people out of work, you knew oil's going to go. Oil's going to be $75 a barrel in the blink of an eye. If like we in Nebraska, we were paying about $1.89 for gas at Costco, and suddenly it's at $2.50, just like that.
Yeah, somebody
And,
said yesterday it's gone up $2 or something. I don't remember who it was.
well, maybe in California.
I know it's still pretty cheap in Florida. I mean,
yeah, Florida's
Hey,
cheap.
it's
We're
Florida,
about
baby.
$2.50. We're about $2.50, right?
yeah. I've been, that's what I'm paying about, at Chevron or whatever.
You know what? On a different subject, there's a couple places I really like in Florida. One of them is the Florida Keys. There's several of the Keys that I really like, and I like going there and hanging out there and everything. And I like the food and the atmosphere. But I went to I can't remember where it is, but it was Thomas Edison's his former laboratory. It was his grounds.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly where it is. If I heard the name, I would probably know it. But I really like that area. And we went to this restaurant. I think it was called Snappers or something like that. Man, just the atmosphere right there on the water. You're overlooking the water. You got a restaurant. You're having a good meal. I love that kind of a atmosphere, and which is that's what I grew up with, and maybe that's kind of why I like it. We used to go down to the Keys all the time, my father and mother and my sister and I. And, I've always liked Florida. And I liked it when I went back a couple of years ago and, I brought my family over. But, yeah, I can't, if I'm going to go anywhere, if I was to ever move back, it would be to Florida.
Yeah.
But, I'll always go back to visit. But, if I was to go back, I would go to Florida for sure.
And Soy Dog can tell you it is really open here. I mean, there are basically no restrictions. We went out to a steakhouse tonight for dinner, and it was kind of crazy. I walk in there, no one's wearing masks in there. They're walking around without masks. It's kind of like it's a different world, totally.
Yeah. You're supposed to wear a mask while you walk to your table, and then
which is the dumbest thing.
I know it's like you put your mask on, like you come to the restaurant, you wear your mask, you sit down at the table, and you take the mask off. And I'm like,
so everybody is breathing in that room, and you're counting on the air filtration system to keep you safe, and the distance that you're from, other people. You might be, sitting 5 feet away from someone, and who knows what happens? They may have touched your chair, and you touch the chair, and boom, that's it.
Well, that's what waitress was saying.
Flying here though, I go to Costco once a week. Everyone's wearing a mask in there, no issues. I go into the supermarket Publix, everyone's wearing a mask, no issues.
Publix.
You see on the news or you see on forums the one person that's a lunatic, that's making a scene, but the majority, and I mean the vast majority.
They do it.
They wear their masks when they're supposed to, and you got a lot of elderly people, obviously, in Florida, and the lines to get the vaccine down here, I said earlier, are crazy. Like they want the vaccines, people want it, and I'm trying to get it.
Are they at a certain age group now or anything like that? Because I know my parents have already been vaccinated now.
65 plus. Next week, I think DeSantis just said it's going to be 50 plus, but only if you're a cop or a teacher or a nurse. Like there's
essential worker.
Yeah, there's going to be a massive influx of vaccine in March from all three of these companies. From J&J, from the Moderna, the AstraZeneca, and Pfizer. So, and they're all said they've managed to ramp up production. They just, it takes a while to ramp anything up, as you probably know, in the oil and gas industry. It's not something you can just turn on and off. And but they're ready to go. So I think in March there's going to be an abundance everywhere of, particularly in big urban areas, of vaccine. Hopefully that'll alleviate it. But yeah, Florida's open basically. It's open.
Andrew Briggs says Starbucks has invaded Vietnam, and I didn't find that to be the case when I went about a year and a half ago or whatever it was. But by now they could have. I did go to a Starbucks when I was there, and they had the Starbucks Reserve, and they made it with the I forget the name of the coffee maker. You remember that video, Soy Dog Cowboy? The video I made where the guy was boiling and you were telling me, that was a good video. I don't remember what that thing is called. that coffee maker is called because I don't use it, but it was it was all right. But I prefer the little mom and pop places that they have there. There was a couple places, and I like the egg coffees in Vietnam. I really like Vietnam. Went to Starbucks today because it was in the grocery store. Otherwise, about once a month. You can buy an espresso maker and some quality coffee for the price of a couple of visits to Starbucks. That's what I do. And I, try not to drink coffee from Starbucks. Even when I go there and stream, a lot of times I've got a bottle of water. Once in a while, I'll have that second cup of coffee. But I have a Roke manual espresso maker that was given to me by Longhorns, and it's ingenious. You just pour some water and some hot water into the top. You've got the coffee tamped down in just like a regular coffee maker, like one of the automatic ones. And then you you lift up these handles and you let the water sink into the coffee. And after 30 seconds, you slowly press down, and the water gets filtered through the coffee. It gets pressed through the coffee. It's just like a press, and I get a good cup of coffee from it. And lately I've been using Lavazza. I've drank Illy coffee, which is quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple bricks of Segafredo in the freezer. So yeah, and it works out to be quite a bit cheaper than Starbucks. But Starbucks rapes you pretty much on their.
That's not what it's about. Listen, my father was in the paper business, right? And sold. He owned a paper company where they would sell cups and paper products to hospitals and delis and just you name it, they would sell. It was enormous. It's actually one of the biggest in the country now, because they combined with the company down here, actually in Miami. So, I as a kid, I was in high school, and I would go work in the summers and help sell the stuff. And I learned something that coffee is the most profitable product in deli by far. The margin is huge. It only costs them a few pennies. The cup actually costs more than the coffee. So the profitability behind coffee is incredible. Now the challenge with Starbucks, of course, is they're getting a lot of money for their cup of coffee, but it still has it's still a low amount. You got to sell a lot of it, to do that. McDonald's, they sell it for nothing because it's really about getting you to buy the other stuff in there. They just want people coming in.
I can't drink McDonald's coffee anymore.
I like it, but I don't.
I just can't get over the cockroaches in my cappuccino.
It's not good.
That's enough. I mean, really, and when you think about it, their coffee makers are pretty much the same across all the McDonald's. So they're very difficult to clean.
Yes.
And so, some of the people there are not the most, dedicated workers who, they care about making sure that every little speck is out of the coffee maker. And, that may be said for Starbucks or, Cafe Amazon or wherever also. But I think maybe because they're getting people who are considered barista or people who care about their coffee, I would like to think that those coffee makers, I've never had any cockroach legs in my espresso. So I'll continue to drink espresso from Starbucks and Cafe Amazon and all these boutique little places before I go to McDonald's.
I don't even drink coffee anymore. I stopped drinking it because when I was over in Asia, the tea thing was a big thing. But one funny story about coffee, when I went down to Brazil, I used to go down to Brazil all the time.
They got a lot of coffee in Brazil.
That's right. Well, the first time I went, the ugly Americans in the meeting, and they've got these little tiny cups, right? And it's, really strong. And I said, well, I'm an American. I want a big cup. I drank a big cup of that stuff. I didn't sleep for 2 days. It was unbelievable.
I know. It's. I shouldn't drink coffee because I have a little heart thing.
Go to tea. Go to tea. It's a lot better for you.
It is.
But it has more caffeine in it.
Nah, it just
depends on the type.
Yeah,
I just don't like the flavor of it.
You could get some great tea down in China. I mean, listen, I walked by a couple of vendors yesterday. They had, many different kinds of tea sitting in, they're sitting there in like a bag. And, if you want to buy tea here, you can get just about whatever you want here. of course, my wife, she likes the green tea, and Nicholas, he likes green tea. I don't particularly like green tea, but I do like black tea.
Sure.
And sometimes I think about changing from coffee, because, to tell you the truth, I no longer think to myself, oh wow, I really like that espresso. It's I don't put sugar in it. I don't drink it with milk. And so I don't really enjoy the taste. It's just a taste that I've become accustomed to. And, like Longhorns was saying earlier about the coffee club, he'd rather be at coffee club that the coffee tastes better. I don't really know about regular coffee, but I'll tell you what, I ordered like a cappuccino, a caramel cappuccino. And all they did was pour the liquid, the see-through caramel, that liquid that tastes like caramel. They just poured it in the drink, and I'm like, where's the caramel? Oh, it's inside the drink. I'm like, and it was not good. And so that kind of put me off from drinking, cappuccino at the coffee club. But I do like the coffee club. They're very good. Other than that, one experience. They got great food.
Steve, let me ask you something. What is your connection to Thailand?
Thailand. I had businesses there. I had when I was in Hong Kong. I worked for W.R. Grace, a division called Cryovac.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what that's vacuum packaging, food products and whatever. And I basically started the business over there for them. And I had 17 countries, and that's all the traveling and everything. And still, I have some very good friends. Actually, Narangchai is this one guy that was my manager there. He's actually a professor at the local university in Bangkok. And so I just know a lot of customers, all the tuna customers over there. I know the families, the Terapong family. I'm still very good friends. I get invited to weddings and everything else over there because I'm, like Thais, like Chinese, whatever, you're a long-term person with them. And I just was hell-bent on maintaining my relationships in Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand. So it's kind of funny. Over time, I've been given a lot of business opportunities from those people because they trust me and they know that I've accumulated some cash and I can invest in what they're doing. And it's been quite interesting. And they have no problems if they travel to the U.S. They stay in my places. They stay with us as family. So it's kind of a crazy relationship because my children grew up over there. I have a boy and a girl, and they went to international school in Hong Kong, and they know a lot of these families too. And we went back, perfect example is we went back about 5 years ago, before Hong Kong got all screwed up. And, I had a big dinner. I had 50 people there that I'd known for more than 20 years. And that's just the way it's always been. And I always made sure, when I went over there, I had no business at all in most of those countries. So what I did, I hooked up with the USDA, attaché, and all the embassies. And I said, hey guys, I don't know anyone over here. Can you help me? I said, I'll throw a party once a month in all these countries. And that's what I did. In Hong Kong, I'd have a huge party for all the Chinese. In Thailand and Bangkok, I'd have a huge party. Chiang Mai or, in Bangkok, Vietnam and Saigon and Ho Chi Minh, whatever. But anyway, that's how I just started the relationship. So I'm tied into everywhere, probably the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand, of course, and then Hong Kong and China. China's kind of crazy now. The whole thing is just, as you talk about it, Scott, it's a crazy situation. Yeah. But I still have a lot of good friends, and with WhatsApp and these other applications,
makes it easy.
Yeah, my birthday last week, I probably got 15 calls from between New Zealand, Australia, China, Thailand. I talk to them all the time because they know I stay up late anyway, so they just call me. It's crazy stuff. But that's
how old are you? Happy belated birthday! But how old are you?
I'm 60 something. I'll say
60 something. Okay, that works. So, are you planning on coming to Thailand and actually retiring here? or
No,
just
no, no,
spending
no.
time here and then going
Yeah,
to
I'll
one of your
spend
other places
time.
or something like that?
Yeah, I think I don't think we'll do that. You know, maybe if I was a little bit younger, I probably would have done it. But at this point, that doesn't make a lot of sense for us. You know, and my kids, neither one of them are married, so I guess it really doesn't matter where the hell I go. But at this
So how
point,
old are they?
they're both right around 30.
Okay. So they can now. Do they live close by you, or do they or
No,
anything
that's
like?
the other problem. I, you know, my daughter's in the Washington D.C. area, and my son lives in Nashville, and neither one of them will ever move. So
Yeah,
that's
you see, this is the thing. Like with
I
now,
like
I've
that.
got kids, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, um, my wife, she's a typical Thai where she really would like them to be close by her all the
right,
time, you
right,
know. And she does know, and she's, at least she stated to me, well, listen, they got to do what they got to do. They got to live their
right.
own lives. But I know her, and, it'll take her a bit of time to get used to them,
Sure.
like not living close by. And so I'm wondering, like, well, what if they want to move to the United States, or what if we want to move somewhere else? What's going to happen? Because I don't want them to feel obligated to have to go somewhere with us. You know what I mean? And they're getting to the age where once they finish school,
Yeah.
they have their own lives and they can do whatever they want, go wherever they want.
And we moved all the time. I mean, I moved. I basically lived in South America. I've lived in Europe. I've lived in Asia, and my kids are pretty independent. So there's never a chance that they were ever going to live around the corner anyway.
Yeah,
You know, they live where they want to live, and they do what they want to do. And the thing is, luckily, financially, we're able to get together all the time, and so we've been very blessed that way. We're able to do
Yeah,
things together and take trips together. But right now, you can't take a trip anywhere.
yeah, that's another
Right.
thing.
So, how'd you escape?
well, that's it, really. Is that you figured it out. My parents been married for 60 something years, and but I just never had that the urge to be married, or which is really strange. I just saw a lot of divorce around
Yeah.
me, and all these
Oh,
women were
absolutely.
taking everyone's money, and I'm like,
It's kind of crazy, right?
yeah, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't have that kind of money where, if I lose half of it, I could just continue living the life I want. So, I have a couple friends. They're going to work till they drop dead, because
Yeah.
they have to.
Isn't
Not
that
because,
amazing?
yeah, it is amazing. So,
It's sad
uh,
because like you've been married 42 years. I've been married. Well, I've been with her for I don't know. Thai marriage and U.S. Registered. It's been I don't even know now, 21 years,
Yep,
something like
that's a
that.
long time.
And it's long enough to where we both kind of know each other. What the next move is going to be, what we're going to do, what we're going to say. We kind of know about all these things, and
Right.
I feel fortunate that we've been together so long. But like my buddy said in the U.S., I was talking to him the other day, and he's 59, I think, and he's never been married, and he's had some relationships or whatever, but he's like, what do I want to get married now for? Unless there's a younger girl that um, wants to be my girlfriend or something, I don't want to be attached. And fortunately for him, he does hook up, with girls that are 20 years, 25 years younger than him. And he's
Yeah.
okay with that, and they're okay with it. So that's great. But like, I feel kind of fortunate that we've been able to stay together because
Yeah.
the last thing I'd want to do is have to go through a divorce and deal with all
Okay.
the bullshit. And I just, I don't have the patience for it,
Well,
for that kind of turmoil.
I think with us, what's happened, I've always been that person where, when the company said, "Hey, who wants to go here? Who wants to go to Cedar Rapids, Iowa and be a plant manager?" I'd raise my hand and do it. Then they'd say, "Well, we need someone in Hong Kong, and basically we're going to give you a Bowie knife and an office, and that's about it. You're on your own." And I raised my hand and did it. I've always been a huge risk taker. I've
Mhm.
taken risks like you wouldn't even believe. But the thing is now, as I got a little bit older, the beauty of it is I don't work for anyone. I was in private equity. I'm still doing a lot of private equity stuff, But the thing is, I've been doing that since I'm, like 50 years old. I don't have to. I've never been accountable to anyone, and I think the nice thing for the family is, I've taken care of them, and they can do what they want, and it's never been an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's a
thanks
great
for
thing.
happy birthday. Yeah, I mean, but if you don't take a risk, it's like you said, Soy Dog. You have friends. I have friends that are in their mid 60s, and they're still working. I mean, they're going to work forever, and it's mainly because they were afraid. When I didn't see something right with a company, I just said, screw this place. I'm getting out of here. And I mean, I was probably pretty brazen when I was like 25, 30 years old. I quit without a job. I didn't give a crap. I didn't like what they were doing. I moved on.
Yeah.
And
People didn't used to remember the days when people used to work for one company all their life, maybe two companies, and they would get the engraved watch at the end of their time and a little pension.
No.
You know,
The minute they went to the 401ks,
Absolutely.
that was it. It was done.
Yep.
And you know what? That was the first time I left a job, is when that 401k thing happened.
Yeah.
And Enron was the last time, right? So what happened was, prior to Enron, you had to wait until you were like 50 years old in order to be able to get your cash out of the 401k. That's all changed now. Or you had to quit the company. Well, when W.R. Grace got bought out, what did I do? I quit. The stock was at $89 a share. So I quit and I left. But when Sealed Air bought them, they said, we'll determine the price of the share at the end of this merger. And I was like, that sounds stupid to me. I'm out of here. At the end of the merger, the price ended up being $10. So I had friends that had all of this money and looked like they're going to retire at a decent age.
Right.
Then it went and I left with all the cash. They stayed there, and they
got out in time.
Yeah, they lost 8 times their money. Think about that.
Think about it. It's insane. Well, that's the whole point. And Japan's going through this right now as well, which is that, a company used to be, you'd be there for life, you get a pension, you'd work your ass off. They would take care of you as you would take care of the company. Now, companies are like, look, we're always going to trim the fat, and it's lean and mean, and, you're expendable. And so the thinking of the employees is, well, if I'm expendable, then I'm going to move around, and think of myself first. So, it works for a lot of companies. It's, they're very profitable, and there's, but, as a society, does that work? I don't know. I don't think so. But
well, they certainly do it here in Thailand. They move around from job to job. A lot of people, especially the younger people, they're just like, in the States where, they work somewhere, maybe they're 16 years old, 17 years old, they get a job, they work there for a year or two, or maybe 3-4 years. They get done, they go to a new place. They're like, listen, I got my degree, I got some experience in this place. This place isn't paying me nearly enough. I'm off to the next place. Then they go to another place. And maybe, it takes them a few times to land, and maybe they go out on their own. But it takes them a while.
I finally went out on my own. I mean, it was just stupid doing what I was doing.
Right.
I'd make, for instance, I sold a company I'm not even going to mention the company I was working for, but I was doing the private equity thing inside. And I took this company and turned it from 150, 200 million. And we built it up enough. We sold it for 750 million. And what did I get? I got my salary out of that.
Well, yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, then you realize, okay, the hell with this.
That was right. And then the last one I did as a private citizen, we bought it for 39 million with a group of guys, and we sold it for 150 in 4 years. And I got a big chunk of that. So, why would you stay?
Which was better.
Yeah.
Gee.
I mean, why would you stay with a big company? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
Obviously, and I'm ruthless, and I like money, so that's the way it goes.
Exactly. Who doesn't?
I think
really. Who doesn't?
I think I have tape on I put tape on my screen on the camera That's why I think it's a little fuzzy.
There's a little haze, just a little one. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not sitting
that's
here
all right.
smoking reefers or something.
No, that's all right. Hey, to each his own. Listen, Carlos says, I don't knock anyone who does not want to get married, but when you find someone and you have that connection, there is nothing else like it in the world, and the intimacy is second to none. I'll agree with that. And the thing is that many men are afraid to say those things. They can't say, hey, I really love this woman. She's my best friend. We're really close. A lot of guys, for whatever reason, it seems they just have a problem admitting that for some reason. And I think that's kind of sad, but whatever. Let's see here. Yep. Carlos, I wanted a long time ago. Now I've changed too much and know it wouldn't work. I understand. Never found that special person. LOL. I found her when I was young, but something bad happened. Just life. Yeah. Well, don't give up hope, Longhorns. I still have a little hope for you. You never know. When you least expect it, you might get hit by the hammer.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. It might be a freight train coming towards you.
You never know. Yeah, could be. So
I met my wife in college, so I was fortunate that way. But,
right. You did it the old-fashioned way.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't meet her on Tinder or Facebook or anything like that. That's how a lot of people, they went through school.
Yeah.
They either were high school sweethearts or they met in college or, they met. One of them just got out of college and was working somewhere and she was interning. She got done and, they met later on or whatever. That was the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. And, and back then there was, really there was no internet till Al Gore discovered it. Or invented it.
Yeah. Well, I still remember those days when, the internet. I remember, some people may not remember this. I think in this stream we're generally, most people are above 50. So they should remember. But, I remember the days when, you sit there and you'd wait for the modem to dial up and connect. And then, it was very slow. Yeah, AOL. What was it? AOL, what did they call it? Their little chat?
Oh, yeah.
It was just AOL chat. I forget what it was. But and then what was the other one? Prodigy.
Yeah.
Prodigy was the big one for a while.
I think it's amazing when you think of AOL. Like when I look at all these companies that were the innovators, and they just couldn't make it work. In the long term, they got supplanted. I mean, you look at Sony. Sony is a great example. They had the corner of the market on music players. Sony Walkman came out, which I remember, and they had a 90% share of music, portable music, and digital music destroyed them. Kodak was the same thing, and
Kodak too. Yeah, you're right.
Like Polaroids.
They just couldn't.
They couldn't see the future.
They didn't have the vision. They had the wrong.
I just loaded AOL. I wanted to see, and they do have their page up. But man, I mean, it's just nobody thinks of it really anymore. Yeah, I mean, nobody that I know of goes, "Hey, let's go to AOL."
I still have an AOL address, and the reason why I do is because everyone. I use Gmail too, but everyone in Asia that I know has that AOL address. I can't get rid of it. If I ever get rid of it, I'll lose them all.
Listen, I know a business that still has Hotmail. I'm like, what?
Hotmail. I've completely forgotten about Hotmail.
Hey, I come from the environment when the first time I saw a fax machine, I thought it was magic.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, AOL. I knew a guy who was in his mid-70s and he found someone and had a kid. Yeah, that happens occasionally. AIM, which is AOL Instant Messenger. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember now. But always remember, contentment is the key to happiness and a hot wife. Well, I got news for you. A hot wife is nice, but eventually you get old and they get old and things change. And, they still might look good, but, like I always say, most women are not going to look at some 70-year-old guy when he gets naked and go, hey, I want some of that saggy ass. I want a little, that saggy ass is such a turn on. They're not saying that,
Well,
so
that's why Thailand is so perfect. right? You just go, you need to,
Well,
for
I don't know
once a
how the
month.
women can block it out so easily. It's
Yeah,
like I
just
guess that, if they're getting paid enough, it's like you're thinking of Brad Pitt or something. Well, he's getting old now too, but maybe they're thinking of some young guy in some little boy band or something, and they're thinking of yes, it's him, and they're closing their eyes dreaming. I don't know.
yeah. I remember
Yeah,
when fax machines came out that they were, FedEx is going to go out of business because no one needs to send these packages anymore, these letters, and then of course I think they were suffering for a little bit because people were not sending those letters anymore. They just fax them, and then Amazon came along, and it obviously changed their whole model again. So things change, but yeah, it's wild. That we just like our parents and grandparents lived through the invention of TV. And my grandfather, who's no longer here, obviously, he was around when the car was invented. We've gone through.
I knew a guy. I knew a guy who had an old Model T in his garage, and he had been given it to him. My friend, his father had been given that car by his father. In I don't know what year. It was like an old Model T kind of thing, made in the 20s or whatever. One of those kind of cars. You crank the front of it up to get the engine to run. He had that in his garage for a long, long time, and I used to laugh about it, but now I think about it and I go, wow, what a difference.
Think about it, Scott. I was there. Are we the same age? We had the first video game, Pong. Remember that? That was the first.
Yeah. I used to play that with my father all the time. That was the big. That was the big, family event. As everybody would after dinner, we'd sit there and watch. And if I lost, it would be like, all right, I have to give it to my sister, and she would play him. And then if he lost, my mother would come in or something like that.
You were there for the first VCR. I had a Sony Betamax. I had, that was the first one. There's so many things that you don't even realize. The cell phone. My father had a cell phone. It was the size. It was like carrying this brick around. Like it was nuts.
It was like a shoebox.
Yeah, it's like
when we moved to Hong Kong, it was hilarious because my kids are waiting at the bus stop to get picked up, and all these little Chinese kids have cell phones. They're a little bit bigger. And I was like, I don't even have a cell phone, and no one in the U.S. had them. So finally, I get a cell phone. It was like calling in an artillery strike. It was
exactly. You'd have a bag. My father had this bag like that.
Yes, that's what I had, a bag phone.
Yeah, it was wild. And I think the most impressive thing, though, honestly, and you'll remember this, is that the ATMs, when you ran out of money, you had to go into a bank to get the money.
Right.
Like, there was no going to an ATM. You go inside to a teller.
And you stood in line.
Right, to get your money. And I never, to this day, I will not deposit money into an ATM because of that old school mentality. It's like, I have to have a teller take the money and put it in the account.
Yeah, I don't go that far. Not now.
But, kids that grow up, they're like, yeah, of course I'm putting my money in here. Like it's, I just started doing the thing just last year, which has been around for a while, which is, you can take a picture of a check and it sends it to your bank.
Oh yeah. You can't do that here, and then you didn't deposit it into the U.S. They don't let you do that because it's internationally. But if I was in the U.S. and I had the check, then they would let me do that right away.
Well,
that wouldn't be a problem.
Tell you how
it's
I am. Because of the trading and stuff I do, and I'm moving a lot of money, that I do not do anything wirelessly. With that, I have an encrypted system it's just like, because of the way I grew up, everything I do is encrypted. It's with a switch, and then I'm hooked up to an encrypted system. I will not do wireless on that type of stuff. I just don't trust it.
Yeah.
I had some guy put together, he's like a nuclear physicist. I don't even know what he did, but kind of like probably your kids, Scott. They could probably do this.
Listen, when I have a photo of Alex when he was about 3 years old, and he used to see me on the computer writing and doing things on the computer. He used to see me doing that, and so I have a photo of him sitting at the computer when he's like 3 years old, tapping away at it. And he's actually far better than me editing videos and editing photos and things like that. He knows his way around the internet. Now, they're not into the whole social media thing. And they don't, sit on their phone. If they do, it's because they're listening to music or something like that. But let me get to these messages real quick. Carl Willits, says it's not a saggy ass. It's gravitationally challenged. It's a gravitationally challenged ash.
Okay.
Carlos, it's a love is a funny thing. I still see my wife the same way as when I met her. I know she's changed, but I still see her as she was many years ago. Yeah, exactly. And you know that you're both changing, but you still remember, and you see them as they once were, and you know how they were. And I think that's kind of the, that's one of the good things about being together with somebody for a long time, besides the intimacy and, you learning about one another and that kind of thing. We ain't going over 2 hours. I promise. If I had a penny every time I heard that. But continue. Good stream. Well, that's why I continued, because even though I'm breaking my promise, it's a good stream. It's good to have Steven on here. Let me see here. What is this?
Oh, dog, it's good to have you on here.
Am I the only one that played
Soy
games
Dog's
on
on here.
Commodore 64 typing a 3-hour program? Yeah, I never did that kind of stuff. Let's see here. What is this? Longhorns, I did it on the VIC-20, and most of the time there were errors. Yeah, I didn't ever do any of that stuff. But I remember, I'll tell you what, I got two things. One, when I first my first computer was 167 megabytes. That was the speed of the processor. And now they're like, 3 point whatever and 4 and, whatever they are. But that's gigahertz. Now, back then it was megahertz. So it was very, very slow, and that with the dial-up made it, just dreadfully slow. I can't even imagine that.
Chad, I don't want to do I can top this, but I can. I have an old 286 Road Warrior with the 10-inch floppy.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to travel with that thing. It was like 45 pounds. And I'll never forget.
45 pounds. Holy shit.
The battery was 28 alone. Wow. But anyway, the first time I went to India, I'm in Bombay, and they gave me a cut-in kit. I don't know if you know what that is. But anyway, what I had to do was pull the phone wires out of the wall and cut into their wires to put alligator clips on. And that's how I dialed into Hong Kong. So there's a bunch of hotels over in India where Steve Moore's been and has cut all of their wires. But I then stuffed them back into the wall.
That's pretty interesting. When I first started coming to Thailand, one of the ways that I got over here, and I don't think there's any of these left anymore, but I was an air courier, and I had heard that in LA there was a company and it was called Polo Express. And what you do is you call them up and you say, listen, I'd like to go to. Then they had a website or something. They had it was the destinations. They didn't have a website. Yep. That was before then. They had the destinations in the Sunday paper of where you could go, and it would give you an idea of how much it would cost. You'd call them up and say, hey, I'd really like to go to Bangkok, Thailand. How much is the ticket? When do you want to go? Well, how about in 3 days? We don't have anything available. How about in 5 days? Okay. How much is it? It's going to cost you $300 round trip. And so they would use your baggage allowance. Okay. And all you had to do is be to the airport on time. It was completely legal. I got a ticket once for like $150 round trip. They called me up and said, can you leave tomorrow? I said, yes. I paid the $150. Went to the airport. There's somebody that meets you. They give you like a little an envelope that has all the information you need. You can use your carry-on for your own, luggage and clothing and stuff like that. You can use your carry-on allowance, but you can't use the baggage allowance. And so then when you get to the airport, I went to Don Mueang Airport, and I didn't speak a word of Thai then. And some little Thai guy comes running up. And I'm standing where I was supposed to be. They told you exactly where to be. I'm standing there. The guy comes up. You, Mr. Scott? Yes, that's me. Give him my little thing. He gave me a return ticket, told me what time to be back at the airport. You cannot be late. If you miss, they're not going to give you a ticket. You're not going to fly with them anymore. You're done. So there's no excuse, you know. And I was always on time. I flew with them like 3 or 4 times. And they were always, $500 or less. And back then, the tickets could be quite pricey. Um, but there were deals. I ended up finding deals. I would always find a deal for $600 or $700, something like that. But I got, one ticket was $150, and I just thought to myself, and I was here for 5 days, and I just thought, man, at the time I was like, man, it doesn't get any better than this. It was like I spent $500 and I went all the way to Thailand and came back and had the time of my life. It was great.
Hey, I've got one Thai story I just thought about. This is a East meets West story. And the first time I went to Thailand to go visit one of the big customers, it was a Terapong family. I don't know if you've heard of that family. They're very, very wealthy. But anyway, two things on that trip. The first thing is he takes me in and we were packaging tuna loins. They do a lot of tuna. They catch a lot of tuna and then they use it in Star-Kissed and Sun-Kissed or whatever the hell, Bumblebee, whatever the tunas are. But anyway, this is the first visit, and he says, Mr. Moore, you guys are shorting us. And we put like 1,000 bags per box. But what they were doing in Australia, where they were making them at that time, they pull bags out to test them, right? And, and then they're supposed to make sure they actually put more than 1,000. So when they test it, no big deal. So anyway, this was a great lesson for me. So he said, you're shorting us bags. And I said, well, how would you ever know that? And he takes me into a room and he's got card tables set up and about 300 women. Now you got to mind you, we're sending 5 million bags at a time. He's got 300 women counting every single bag. And I was like, wow, can I take a picture of this? Because they're never going to believe it. And that was it. Believe me, we never shorted him after that. But this family is so wealthy that night he said, okay, enough fooling around. I'm going to take you out to dinner. And he took me to an Italian restaurant. And we walk into the restaurant and there's no one in there. And I'm like, what the hell is the deal? And he said, well, I closed the restaurant for the evening. Wow. He had bodyguards at the front door and the back door watching the cooks and stuff. And we're the only two people in this restaurant. And I guess I can't remember the name. It's been so many years. But I mean, it just, those two episodes are like etched in my mind forever.
Yeah.
It was so over the top, the way he ran his business and then also the money he had.
Yeah.
It was just like insane, absolutely insane.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I got to run.
Okay.
Do that.
11:30, man.
Probably a good time to get ready to sign off here.
Steve was good
to chat. We're both falling asleep.
Yeah, well, us old people, we have a hard time staying up real late, I don't get that much sleep, so doesn't matter. Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
I'll actually clean up my camera for the next time.
No problem. I appreciate you coming in. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon, Stephen.
Absolutely. Goodbye.
All right. Take care. Soy Dog Cowboy, he's off. He's up. I guess he's running off to do something, or either that or fall asleep or wherever. It doesn't matter. But it was good to have Stephen on. And as always, Soy Dog Cowboy. Carl says, in 1995, I bought a Pentium 75. Is it megahertz or hertz? I think it was, maybe mine was 167.8Z. I don't know. PC with a 1 gigabyte hard drive. Yeah, back in the day, it was like, oh, you'll never use that. I was told you'll never fill that HDD. You can use a gigabyte even without trying now. Video takes a huge amount of data. Listen, this stream alone will be probably 3.5 gigabytes, to give you an idea. So, that's where we're at nowadays. And it's just, to me, I would one day like to go see YouTube's facility where they are storing all their computers and everything, and their backups and everything like that, because they have got to have a huge facility to be able to process this much data every day. It's got to be just something incredible. But loud thunder here. Loud thunder here, thunderstorms brewing. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe some people will get some water, although I don't know. Can you drink the rainwater there? I don't really know. Um, yeah, let's see. So anyway, it was good to have Steven on, because he's come in and been in the chat for quite some time, but I've never had the chance to talk to him. And it's always good to have new people come in and change up the stream a little bit. And I like how the stream is kind of progressing, where we're getting more people coming in. At first, it was like nobody wanted to come in, and now we're starting to get some people to come in, and we're talking about a variety of subjects. I can't go out all the time, for whatever reason. I can't always do it, and I don't always want to do it. And the heat is what's it right now? Well, the air quality is 141 right now, which is unhealthy for sensitive individuals. The Thai baht has gone from 30.27 and now it's 30.33. Just in the time we've been streaming, it is 91 degrees out right now. The feel like temperature is still 91 degrees. So it is still, regardless of the feel like temperature being the same, it is rather hot here. And I'm expecting it just to get hotter and hotter for the next couple of months. So, yeah, you go out. Who wants to go out and sweat their ass off all the time? I don't mind once in a while, but it is kind of draining to go out for 3-4 hours walking around. And I just don't. I don't have the same energy as I used to. 30.33 is what I'm showing on the XE. So that's great. I'd like to see it go up to 31 plus. If that happened, I'd be like, okay, you know what? Listen, the goal is that if you're going to make a withdrawal, or if you're going to transfer money, it works out to where you make at least over a little bit over 30. Because the fees, and even with TransferWise or whatever, and sometimes when it comes to like making a transfer by PayPal, or doing a bank withdrawal, an ATM withdrawal, you always lose about 1.5 points. And so, if you're at 30, I mean, I got like 28.18 from one place the other day. And that's obviously not very good. I want to get like closer to 35, like Carlos is saying, than under 30. I don't want to be close to 28. I want to be close to 35, 40. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Usually it's up and down, and that's just the way it goes. I don't really know much about exchange rates and how everything works, but gold prices have been down for a while. For the last couple of days, they've been 25,000 plus, whereas they were, I don't even know, 28,000 or so a little while ago. So, but anyway, I appreciate everybody. Can I use Bitcoin here? Yes, definitely. I've got links down in my description. I use Bitcoin, although I don't use it, all that often, because I can't afford it, to be trading it. I don't do all that. But, I've gotten like payments in Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. And I kind of like it. It's just that, it's a little bit difficult to use it. Like you're saying, use it like, if I use it, it's sporadically, because I don't know many places here in Thailand now that are accepting it. Like you go in and you do something with your phone, or, you do it that way. I don't know many places. I think I'm trying to think if I used it at a coffee shop once before, but if I did, it was like when Bitcoin was really, really low. But there are more places now that are accepting cryptocurrency here. I just don't always have money in the system, and I don't want to count on it. So I'm kind of unaware of what's going on when it comes to that, But like, you can't go into Starbucks and play with a cryptocurrency, at least not yet. So anyway, I think that's we've run the stream has run its course. I appreciate everybody chiming in. It's very nice. Oh, Charles, you're coming in through Facebook. Oh, interesting. How many people are commenting? I think you're the only person who commented from Facebook today, which is interesting because, I'm streaming on Facebook and YouTube right now because I'm using the StreamYard, which is another good reason to use StreamYard. So I'm going to continue to use it for a while and, see how things pan out. But so far, I really like what StreamYard can do. Aside from, the video freezing up once in a while and some audio issues, but I think I have a couple workarounds for that. So anyway, that's all I have. It's now almost noon here in Thailand, noon on Friday. It's a holiday, as I said. I'm going to grab something to eat. I haven't eaten today. I'm going to have a lunch and see what's going on downstairs with the family. I don't know if Alex is still here. The wife is probably still here, but my kid Nicholas he went to school to do to work on something, and even though school is out today, so we're all doing our own thing here. But thank you for joining me. If you'd be so kind, please leave a thumbs up. And remember to, yes, I was talking about that earlier, Longhorns. Lori did make it out, although she did have a bit of an issue because, they gave her the test results, and the test results showed that the test was taken in January. And she didn't realize it, I guess. And then at last night or early this morning, I think it was late last night, they sent her a message with a PDF attached that had the corrected test results. And she was worried about whether or not they were going to accept it. And if they didn't accept it, then today's her last day and then she'll be overstayed. So she was worried about that. And then, it's a holiday. So immigration is, I'm going to assume that immigration is closed. So she would have had to take care of it in the airport. But eventually, she found out it wasn't a problem. She flew out, so now everything's copacetic. She's on her way back to Hawaii, and I'm sure we'll talk to her when she gets back. Yeah, she didn't have the greatest luck, did she? She really didn't have very good luck. She didn't know that she had forgotten her passport. And, she was going to go fly out. She didn't have her passport, and they had to bring it to her. Then when she did get there, it was like, oh, sorry, you don't have the right tests. So now you're going to have to reschedule. And, it almost happened again. So it's good she's back on the plane. And like I said, I'm sure we'll talk to her once she arrives and gets settled. At least at some point we'll talk to her. So like I said, thank you again. Please remember to subscribe. Please remember to leave a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If you want to help support the channel, there are a number of ways you can do it. You can become a sponsor just by clicking that join button. And there's a list of ways you can join. And there's also merchandise and, just everything's in the description. My shout out for the day is going to go out to Johnny Siam. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And also to Bilal. Thank you, Kun Bilal, as always. Appreciate it. So that's all I have. I'm Scott. I am an American in Bangkok, and I'll see you guys when I see you. All right. Let me see if I can do this here. I want to try to do something a little bit different here as I get out of here. Let me turn on the music. Let's see here. Will it work? Yep, choke me, jerking my, that's good luck. And until next time, see you later. Adios, Paul. Ciao. Let me see if I can do this here. I don't know how I can do this. Let me see.